Hello, YouTube. We need to talk. We need to have a little chat. There have been some things going on. I've had a lot on my mind, and I'm pretty worked up. So we need to address this. If you guys are joining me from Twitter, thank you very much for viewing me. Welcome to my YouTube channel. I do, in fact, have a real voice. I'm not just sharing hot takes on Twitter all day long, or X, or whatever we call it now. Still feels weird to call it X. I want to talk about some big stuff tonight. If you're not familiar with me yet, almost all of you, that's going to be the case. As you can tell, I'm just getting started on YouTube, but I'm trying. And I talk about faith and politics. And the things I'm particularly concerned about is I want to get inactive Christians in church, going to church. I want to get active Christians in good churches, or at least make sure they are in a good church. And then I want to get all Christians more active in culture, in our society around us. Primarily focusing for now on getting you guys out there and voting and encouraging you to vote. So the last few weeks I've been discussing on Fridays, so I do about 3 videos a week right now. Mondays are my church-focused ones. Wednesdays are I've started to do like a news commentary, and Fridays are when I talk about, I have been talking about voting, and I've been picking like an issue and breaking it down, what I think the two camps' main positions are on that, and what I think the most Christian-like way to vote on that is. Full disclosure, I am extremely conservative. I am extremely right-wing. I hesitate to use the term Republican because I've got a lot of frustration with the GOP, believe me. It may not sound that way from what I'm about to talk about. I might sound like a little bit of a GOP simp. I assure you that is not the case. But I find the alternative, quite frankly, horrifying, which is why I'm so worked up tonight. So this Friday, today, by the time you guys are seeing this, by the way, I've been trying to work very hard at looking at the camera and not at myself. So I'm going to try very hard to look here and not here. But I've been trying to work to get these videos shorter. But I need to get this all off my chest. So this is going to be as long as it's going to be until this is all addressed. So getting to the point. What do I want to talk about? Why am I so worked up? Well, there was recently a video posted by Michael Knowles where he sat down with a young man that goes by the name Clavicular. He's what's called a looks maxer, so these guys that are entirely focused on improving their physical appearance to the highest degree possible. It's not entirely clear to me what the reason is. It seems to be just to be more attractive than other men. And it's not even always necessarily through just simple hard work. They are open to, I guess, shortcuts, drugs, all that kind of thing. Well, this video has caused a bit of a stir recently because Michael Knowles, who is generally very supportive of the current administration, he's a pretty conservative guy on Daily Wire, I know. I like Michael Knowles a lot. I respect him a lot. I think he comes from a very interesting background of having strayed from the faith for quite a few years, where he was an outright atheist and has now since returned to the faith and gone back to his Roman Catholic roots and is now a defender of the faith. Well, he is also active in conservative politics in the United States, and Clavicular was basically telling him how he and many like him, and now the Groypers, the America First movement, and people kind of all in that general atmosphere, are now so fed up with the current state of the Republican Party, with the current state of this administration, that they are going to vote for Gavin Newsom in 2028, or they're going to vote for whoever the Democratic candidate is, because they believe that we need to accelerate the demise of this nation in order to shock the right out of their inaction, their view, into actually doing something to change this country. And I might have set this aside as like, okay, he's just some kind of crazy dude with some crazy ideas. had I not been looking around on Twitter recently, where I've seen a lot of people, and I won't single anybody out, but I've seen a lot of people blackpilling and just basically giving up. And a lot of accounts, even ones that I respect, a couple of them have even themselves adopted this idea that we need to accelerate the destruction in order to ultimately save the country somehow. And I'm going to be very real with you. I find that path absolutely horrifying. I'm a veteran. I understand that it may one day, there's no way to guarantee it won't. It may one day come to violence. It may one day come to real shooting in the United States again. God forbid. For some reason, there are a lot of people that are just chomping at the bit to just spill blood. And believe me, there's a lot of Christians in the world that wring their hands over whether or not it is okay to defend yourself, if there is ever a time where it is justified morally and biblically to fight back, to use lethal force, to even fight back against the government. I am not one of those Christians. I'm also going to apologize to you because I am so worked up. So generally, I try to avoid swearing. I try to avoid swearing on this channel. I have already failed at that in other videos, and I'm probably going to fail at some point tonight. I'm going to try to keep it clean, but you may want to keep the kiddos away if you're listening to this. But I am not one of those Christians. I have no issue with using lethal force if I need to, whether it's to defend myself, my property, my family. I'm not going to lose sleep at night. I will ask God for forgiveness if I have done wrong, but I am no pacifist. I always wanted to do my job when I was in the military to the best of my ability. And I was an officer in the infantry, and I wholly embraced my job to hunt down and destroy the enemies of this nation. No moral qualms about that whatsoever. But it really disturbs me, the amount of people who claim to be patriots that just seem eager to see everything burn. And I get it. I get the frustration. I know there's not as much being done. Trump is not a fraction the dictator that the left likes to make him out to be. I know, believe me, I want to see him walking mayors and governors out of their offices in chains. I want to see people going to jail. I want to see immigration shut down almost completely for the foreseeable future. I want to see all these things. I 100% agree. But I don't agree with, after 1 year, handing the reins of power back to the people that were just nosediving this country into the freaking pavement. Are you insane? If that is you, how do you justify that? I promise I've got some points I'm trying to make here. But this is what I'm worked up about right now. The accelerationism and the blackpilling. And I know there's a lot of you guys that probably feel the same as I do, where you're like, what is happening? Why are we all just popping smoke all of a sudden? It's been a single year. I know we're all worried about the midterms. We're worried because right now it looks like the Dems are going to get the House back, and then it's going to get real hard for this administration to do anything. When all we want is for Trump to plow through all these freaking judges, to start pulling them in and removing them from office. He can't do that all himself. And one thing I want to do is go over a lot of the things. Here's my main thrust of this evening, of me talking to this camera here. We have gained a lot of ground. We have established a beachhead. And we need to push. But it's going to be a fight. We are in a war. And a war is not won in a single battle. It's not won in a single campaign. A war, it lasts for years. Okay? And that's how I think about these things. I know we're not in a shooting war, God forbid. I mean, one side has basically started shooting, but God forbid that it escalates. I need to collect my thoughts for a second here. I feel like I'm the guy right now, and this is not to glorify myself, because I'm probably going to get some stuff wrong tonight. So by all means, I want to hear your input. I want to hear your response to this. I want to hear what your thoughts are and why you might think that the things that I think are horrifying are somehow justified. Especially if you're a Christian. I want you to explain that to me, because I don't think that's justifiable for a Christian position, no matter how extreme you are. But I feel like I'm the dude in the trench in World War I that's sitting here while the guy next to him is freaking out. He's losing his mind. He's screaming. He's getting everybody else around him all stirred up, all freaked out. It's time to move forward, and this dude is pissing his pants and wants to run the other way. And I'm shaking him like, shut up! Get a hold of yourself, man! That's what I feel like with conservatives right now, because right now, I don't think we've been this way through history, but for some reason, in the last few decades, conservatives are way too quick to turn tail and run. It's that way in politics. It's damn well that way in the church. That's why every mainline denomination, almost everyone, has gone way left and is doing everything they shouldn't, because conservatives run, and we should be ashamed of ourselves. That is cowardice. And there's only one place cowards go, and it ain't up. So, just taking a second. Let's get a hold of ourselves. Let's rally, and let's do some work. And you know what? It's going to be uncomfortable. I'll get back to more of that, the rah-rah pep talk at the end. Point number 1. I got 5 points, so stick with me. Point number 1. It takes longer to rebuild than to destroy. We are not just dealing with what President Biden and his administration did over the last 4 years. We're dealing with what almost every American president has done since World War II. A lot of the things that make our country just the absolute crazy place it is right now goes back to at least the 60s, and a lot of it goes back further than that. It's gonna take time to restore, or really to move in a direction that we want to move forward. It's never going to be like it was, but we can make it better, and we really can make this nation great again, as cliche as that is at this point. And don't give me, I'm so sick of hearing, ho, 2 wings of the same bird. You know, for a lot of the last few decades, that probably has been true. I don't entirely buy that with the current way that the right is moving. And you know what? The left is, to their credit, is moving too. But they're moving in the opposite direction. We're no longer playing this like, new liberal order, one slightly to the right, one slightly to the left. The left is going far left, clear out of left field, clear out of the stadium. We have, not socialists, a literal communist as mayor, sworn in today as mayor of New York City in the United States. A 100% bona fide communist. And he's getting support from the left. You have leftists in Virginia that just won their elections who are calling for violence, who are celebrating violence and wishing for violence on their conservative rivals. You got people all over the country celebrating the murder of Charlie Kirk and encouraging more violence. Meanwhile, on the right, you have the MAGA movement. You have the America First movement. You have people, and I get it, Trump is not a real conservative. Can we all agree on that? I think he is better than and has done a lot that we're going to get to in the very next point. He's done a lot more than I think any other president, for sure this century, but in the last probably 100 years. And he ain't the best. But he's what we got right now. I think he's the start. And I know everybody is starting to poo-poo, oh, J.D. Vance, he's just more the same. No, he's not. In some ways, okay. Maybe, I get everyone's frustrated about Israel, okay? I get it. Everyone's tired of seeing us just give them a blank check. I get it. I agree. But for now, that's what we got to deal with, okay? J.D. Vance is more conservative than Trump. He's already talking about immigration moratoriums. Trump has already been... Okay, we're going to get to that in a second. I know there are others out there. I'm not saying it 100% has to be J.D. Vance to take us into the future. I think right now he makes the most sense. He's not even as extreme as I want to see. But this is not the two wings of the same bird anymore, okay? I know they got faults. You're never going to get your perfect Christian prince. It's not going to happen, okay? People suck. You do the best you can with what you got, okay? But there are some great young conservatives that are coming up through the ranks. I just learned about this Fishback guy down in Florida. I hope he gets the governorship. That dude seems like a great candidate from the few minutes that I've seen. I could be wrong. I could be horribly wrong, but I've got a great first impression of that guy. So James or Joshua, something with a J, Fishback. Seems like a great dude and probably a better candidate than Byron Donalds. Anyways, point number one, it takes longer to rebuild than to destroy. Point number two, and I've kind of already been getting into it, we have gained significant ground. Okay, this administration, people I think thought there was going to be some magical crusade. I know Trump promised a lot. If you really thought Trump was going to deliver 100% on everything he was talking about on the campaign trail, you're freaking delusional, okay? I'm sorry if that hurts your feelings. We were never going to get everything we want, but I do believe it was reasonable to conclude we would get a net positive. And I think that is what we're getting so far. And I went through and was doing some research. So we're going to go down a list that I've compiled of the things that this administration has done in the first year. And we still got 17 days to go, 18, whatever the count is. It has been 1 year, guys. Okay? To be an old man, Rome wasn't built in a day. But we have gotten a beachhead. That's how you need to start thinking about this. And we build out from here. You don't freaking turn tail and run. Number one on my list here, we have a secure border. We have possibly the most secured border at any point in American history today because of President Trump. For months and months and months, for years, Biden and the left were feeding us this crap that they were doing what they could and they were, we need Congress to pass and give us money to enforce the border, to do everything. And on day one, Trump calls a shield wall. And all of a sudden, Border Patrol can do their jobs again. ICE can do their jobs again. He calls 12,000 troops that also join rank and help close up the border. And you know what? No one is getting through now. Nobody is getting through. Encounters, people even trying to get through, have plummeted. It's down to 200 or 300 a day, which still sounds like a lot. But we now have a zero release policy. Whereas Biden was catching and releasing into the interior, and that's why we were having hundreds of thousands every single month coming into this country over the last 4 years. Now that is zero. I feel like I could stop this list right here. If everything else stayed the same, that alone is an enormous difference. But that is just the beginning. Right now, and I get, it is not what we were hoping. Because every time we talk about this, the number seems to increase. It was 10 million. Then it was 15. Then it's 20. Now people are saying 25. Now people are saying 40. Now it's 100 million. Who knows how many illegals are in this country? Who knows how many even legal immigrants that have gamed the system or are taking advantage of our system are here right now? It's a lot. I get it. But they're not going to get out of here by the end of the year. They're not going to get out of here by the end of this administration. But that doesn't mean we're not moving in the right direction, because you know what? As of December, we have 2.5 million illegals and otherwise that have been removed from the country. Over 600,000 of them, and this is all Department of Homeland Security statistics. About 605,000 of those have been removed by ICE and other agencies and deported. Another 1.9 million have removed themselves and gone home, adding up to the 2.5 million. I'm going to give you a little bit of context there. Under President Biden, because as many as and we know it was an open border. They were just letting the masses swarm in, but they were still trying to keep up the facade that they were doing their jobs. And so some people did pull the short stick and got sent home to let the rest of their buddies through. So under Biden, there was and this, I'm using like the most extreme example here. Supposedly, over 4 million people were deported under Biden. But that includes 2.5 million who were simply turned away at the border. What we're seeing under this administration is interior enforcement. You need to understand something. There is a big difference between turning someone around at the border when they get here, because that's easy. It's like, hey, no, man, you're not getting in. Go home. There's a big difference when you have to round them up, especially when you have mayors and governors that are doing everything they can to get in the way, and liberal judges and soft DAs and corrupted police departments and sheriff's departments. And yes, I agree. All those dudes need to be in jail. They all need to be walked out in chains and shamed in front of the entire country. I agree. And I hope we see some of that one day. I know that's a lot to hope for. But you know what? In spite of all of that, 2.5 million have been sent out of the country. And they have increased the incentives to get more. Even if we just keep par with that course. That means by the end of this country, or God forbid, by the end of this administration, when we hand off to the next president, whoever that is, hopefully it's a conservative, God willing, but that means 10 million will have been removed. That is a phenomenal performance, because Biden supposedly removed 4 million over the course of his 4-year term. Trump in his first term only removed about 2 million in 4 years. Before him, you have President Obama. In 8 years, only 3 million, and most of those were turnarounds at the border. Under President Bush, a Republican, you have only 2 million over the course of 8 years. Clinton, not even 1 million over 8 years. Trump, second term, 2.5 million. I know I'm beating this dead horse. I'll keep moving. And we're going to continue this theme of things looking up on this, because guess what? ICE is not only being allowed to do their job now, their budget has been tripled. CBP is being allowed to do their job, and they're getting more resources too. ICE is on track to become, very quickly, the largest law enforcement agency in this country. They had a budget before the One Big Beautiful Bill, I know, cringe name, of $10 billion a year. That is increasing to $30 billion a year. They started, before that bill was passed, with 20,000 agents. That is rapidly being increased to 30,000. And I'm sure it will probably increase beyond that. It should. And Border Patrol, compared to this time last year, has increased by 84%. They're hiring specifically. Sorry, I shouldn't say the whole force. They're hiring. So the rates of hiring has increased 84% compared to this time last year. There are many patriotic young Americans that are hopping into the fray. Credit where credit's due, because I'm not one of them right now. So think of me as you will. But I applaud these young men. You need to understand, it takes time to train these new agents. It takes time to get them in the field. We're only just now, it takes about 6 months, from what I was able to look up, about 6 months for a new Border Patrol agent to be fully trained up, because it's a high standard. And it's about 7 months to get a new ICE agent trained up and in the field. That means from when this increase in funding with the One Big Beautiful Bill back in July, we're only about right now, within November, December, January, starting to see these waves of new agents coming into the field. They haven't even begun to work, okay? So just take a deep breath, just like I know I need to do in this video because I'm losing my mind. But we're working, man. It's going better than you think it is. We'll see how this next year goes as far as numbers with deportations. It was never going to be 10 million in 1 year. That was never a realistic guess. So just deal with it, okay? On top of this, we got to get through there because I'm never going to get through this video if I don't start speeding up. We have the immigration crackdown. We now have 39 countries plus the Palestinian Authority that have either received total bans, which is about 19 of those, or they have heavy restrictions now placed on them for who can come into the country. Believe me, I want all immigration to be paused for the good next 10 to 15, 20 years. And just let us figure this out while we get everybody that doesn't need to be here out of the country, and we let young Americans actually get a freaking leg up in this society like they should, like it's long overdue. But you know what? I'll take what I can get. You know what I see this as? I'm going to keep saying it. A beachhead. Or as what I'm used to, an airhead. We've dropped in and we're establishing ourselves. These people are no longer welcome in this country. No more coming in. You know what? Before you bring it up, I know we just saw that Republicans put in a few $1 billion aside to bring in refugees or whoever it is. Call them out. Call those scumbags out. Call them out. Expose them. I am all for that. You know what? Freaking primary them if you can. I know you guys are going to roll your eyes at me, but that is one legitimate way to act against this. Freaking show up to vote, man. Conservatives are horrible about showing up to voting in the special elections. They only show up, for the most part, in force for the big election every 4 years. Everything else is get your buddies to the polls. Holy crap, guys. Brandon Herrera lost his primary by 400 votes. He should be the congressman right now, not freaking Tony Gonzalez. And yes, I get Trump has horrible picks with endorsements, okay? You and I agree on that. Somebody needs to take his endorsement power away from freaking campaigns. Okay, speeding forward. H-1B, and I know it wasn't as strong, but again, that's my theme, is that it's a start, man. We now have $100,000 fees, and I get their one-time fee. I want them to be annual fees too. But at least it's a $100,000 fee for new H-1B applications to the companies. But also, did you know, they are now required to weight the hiring selections more towards higher salaries. That means if you are coming in, you don't just have to do that $100,000 fee. You now have a preference for hiring those higher salaries because it's more likely that those are legitimate H-1B hires. And that would mean there's going to be less of the lower entry-level hires. And then they are also required to go through social media screening, so we know exactly what they've been posting. And then all those country restrictions apply. So I get it. I want India to be at the top of that freaking list, but it ain't there right now. But keep pushing, keep chimping out, and maybe we'll see. Okay? Tariffs. Holy crap, we wield tariffs. And I get it, it's a controversial topic. I've seen good cases why tariffs shouldn't be a long-term policy at the very least. I get it. But you know what those tariffs have brought about? $30 billion in revenue every month to help at least decrease the amount of money we're wasting, and hopefully one day to help put more money into our coffers. You know what? Even if tariffs need to go away in the long haul, I'm not saying I'm not against, bringing them back once they serve their purpose. They have forced countries to the table. We have trade deals out the wazoo right now, okay? We're striking a trade deal with the UK, with China, with Japan, with the EU. And I won't go into all the dirty details of what all these accomplish, but a lot of these are opening up markets. They're bringing in trillions in investments in this country. It's bringing companies back into the United States to manufacture here, to avoid those tariffs. It's forcing these countries to have to pay more of their share, to stop screwing the American consumer. And a lot of this is long-term game here. We're not going to see the full effects of these overnight. And a lot more is still in the works. You got South Korea, Vietnam, Philippines, Indonesia is what I understand are deals that are still in the works right now. The key idea to take away here, the Trump administration is rewriting. Globalism has been the norm for the last 70, 80 years, since Bretton Woods, right after World War II. We are now shifting the global order. This Herculean task. Trump is forcing a new world order. I know that's a sketchy term. The world order is being rewritten here in favor of the United States. So just hang tight, all right? Deep breath. I'm getting a little lightheaded, all right? I need to take a little breath. We're going to speed through these next one. DOGE, and I get it. I'm sad to see DOGE go to. That was probably one of my favorite projects too. But it did bring about some good. We saw a lot of exposure of waste and fraud. The Department of Education has effectively been completely dismantled. Most of that's now been pushed down to the state level. That is a big win because a lot of this DEI crap in horrible, tremendous waste of taxpayer dollars has come out of the Federal Department of Education. That is now completely atomized. A federal hiring freeze that has now been shifted to, it's no longer frozen, but they're now doing more targeted hiring. So tens of billions, upwards of $200 billion of savings, cuts, whatever. I get it wasn't the $2 trillion that we were promised. I am extremely disappointed in that as well. But that's better than we've been doing. Hundreds of thousands of federal jobs removed. And from what I could see, they have shifted. So yes, DOGE has gone away, it seems, but they have shifted and kind of absorbed a lot of those tasks into the Office of Personnel Management and the Office of Management and Budget. So there could be still some stuff coming out, some stuff in the works. RFK and the Department of Health and Human Services, this has been a big one. RFK has been busting his tail, man. I've seen a lot of this stuff that's been fights going on in Congress, fights going on under Trump himself, that RFK has been doing mirror movements in the HHS. He's been forcing them to, he's been implementing this phase out of food dyes, which, yes, some freaking judge has now blocked, but I'm sure that's going to get challenged. I'm sure it's already being challenged in the courts. So we'll see how that goes. A crackdown in junk food and waste in school meals and SNAP benefits programs. So that's good. Big change-ups in the personnel, especially at the top in the FDA and the CDC. And that has led to now a full review of the vaccine schedules. Vaccine injury research is now being conducted to see, these things going on with the COVID-19 shots and everything. All hopes of this video being monetized are completely gone. I mean, nothing's monetized yet, but I hope this doesn't get taken down. And then ending coercion of doctors to pressure their patients. Again, I know there's a lot of people that are stuck in their ways that are going to fight all these things, but he is making good waves. He's reduced the workforce, saving us about $2 billion a year. He's cut about $14 billion a year of waste and fraud, of crappy contracts or just careless allocation of money. And greater funding and support for rural health facilities. So there's a lot going on in HHS. Department of Defense, now the Department of War under Pete Hegseth, another good leader that I like, has completely refocused the culture of the Department of War exactly where it should be. Actively eliminating and fighting DEI and CRT initiatives in the department. And refocusing on standards and warrior ethos and making the generals PT. You know what? If you see brass talking crap about the fact that Pete Hegseth got put in the position when he's out there PTing with the troops, just take anything they say and throw it in the garbage. The brass has been corrupt forever, okay? I don't know if you know this. If a veteran, you probably do this. No one likes the brass, okay? Here and there you get someone that's popular, but everyone hates the generals. Everyone hates the admirals. No one really respects them. I know people love to act like they're the experts, and technically they're the experts because they've gone to all the schooling. They're freaking politicians in uniform, okay? They suck. So just ignore everything they're saying. I think Hegseth's largely on the right track. You got this Golden Dome thing in the works, which is a massive, basically Iron Dome on steroids because it's for the United States to cover a lot bigger area to protect us from potential missile threats. 12,000 troops on the border. We've already talked about that. The pressure campaign on Venezuela. We're destroying drug boats. We're seizing oil tankers. They've just conducted a strike on a port where they have been doing a lot of this drug running. And you know what? After Trump now having 2 instances where he has taken direct strikes against Iran to, take out Soleimani in his first administration, and now to absolutely obliterate their nuclear facilities. I get it. They're still probably rebuilding or trying to rebuild it. But to absolutely, take shots and take the wind out of their nuclear program, after doing that and keeping us out of a larger war twice now, I think I'm going to let them have some room to operate on this whole Venezuela thing. I get people. I don't want another war. I don't want another forever war. Oh my gosh. I'm tired. I'm out of breath. I can't freaking talk. But I'm going to let him work on this one. And then banning trans members out of the military. Improving the quality of troops right there. And keeping people who probably are too mentally compromised to make good decisions and are really just probably political agents anyways. Good work going on there. Foreign policy. How many wars have we seen ended now? And they are busting their tail trying to get Russia and Ukraine wrapped up. I know it hasn't happened yet. It was never going to happen day one. Come on. That was campaign talk. You have to be real with yourself. But they are continuing to work at it. And hopefully by the end of this year, we'll see it done. Hopefully a lot sooner than that. But Gaza has now ended. The Gaza war has ended. It's a ceasefire right now. Hopefully things don't start. But so far it's been holding, it seems. A lot more pressure on Iran. NATO allies. We've now got commitments from them to vastly increase their spending. They've been underpaying for decades. There have been nothing but mooches in NATO, except for the United States and a couple exceptions. I think the UK, Poland is like the best one in there. They even outperform us by GDP. But NATO has been riding the American coattails for a long time, and they're now all having to increase their spending up to 5% of their respective GDP in each of those countries by 2035. And I get that's a long way out, but that's already spending increases. Congo, Rwanda, the peace treaty there. Was it also Azerbaijan and Armenia? A lot of these are little conflicts and stuff, but come on, the dude's a freaking peace treaty machine. and Congo, from what I understand. We're working deals there because there's a lot of natural resources that we're trying to get rights to. With all these deals, keep in mind that China has been pushing their economic power for a long time now, with not nearly enough action being made against them. And they've been intruding in our hemisphere. The Trump administration now has continued their war path against that. So they are continuing to push back and are winning a lot of influence and a lot of deals in the U.S.'s favor to try to push back against Chinese influence. So that is a big thing. That is a long-term win for the United States. U.S. aid shuttered. Workforce reductions in offices and stuff to do with the Department of States, taking it from over 700 to now about 600. Holy crap, this is a long video. Migration control. You got 95% less people are even trying to cross the border illegally. Mexico's got a lot more troops now on the border. They're helping us crack down on fentanyl. And I think I'm going to stop there on that, because I've more than made my point that there's a lot going on. And if you're just going to go and hand the reins back to the left and back to Gavin Newsom, all that goes away. All this ground that we're making, that we're going to continue to make over this next year until at least the midterms, all that goes away. So, point number 3. Our mess is, and it's really probably a non-point at this point because I've already brought it up, but this mess is decades in the making, okay? And progress is going to be incremental. Think of the abortion issue, and this is a big thing that Clavicular in the video poo-pooed, that Roe v. Wade was overturned. That took 50 years to accomplish. That was no small accomplishment. And it's still legal in a bunch of states, and there's just as much abortion as ever. Okay, but multiple states have now effectively total bans, with more on the way, and others with significant restrictions. You know what has never made that kind of a difference? The people who are committed to the total ban of abortion, let me rephrase that. I'm sorry, my hair was all greasy, so that's why I had the hat on, but I'm all worked up and hot now, so who cares? You can see me in all my greaseball glory. There's essentially 2 ways to go about the abortion abolition cause, right? You have the one and done, where you want it all done at once, just a total ban, until then nothing else is even to be considered. And then you have the incremental method, where, hey, you take the small victories where you can get them and you build them over time. Guess what's been working? The incremental method. Now copy paste that in every battlefront that we have going on right now. Okay? It's going to take a while. Point number 4. You do not get to label the left a death cult, which they are. You do not get to label the left a death cult if you believe in the accelerationist method. If you are going to vote left now to punish the right, or abstain from voting to punish the right, you don't get to call anyone on the left a death cult ever again, because that is a suicidal move. Prove me wrong on that. If you're just going to hand the reins back to them, to let them destroy the country, to absolutely just eviscerate everything we've worked for, to speed things along, to get to maybe some kind of dramatic change down the road, which is probably going to be unrecognizable from the country that we know and love, that's pretty suicidal. So, yeah. It just kind of smacks to me of like the right-wing version of the whole socialism's totally going to work if we try it again thing. That's what that sounds like to me. If you want to see the accelerationist method, look at the UK right now. Are they having a good time? People are going to jail. 10 times the people in the UK are being arrested for posts on the internet than are in Russia. Big bad Russia. Point number 5. explain to me how accelerationism or just giving up and running away, just blackpilling, just saying, screw it, I'm just going to hide on my bunker. How's that? This is specifically to Christians. How is that the Christian position? How do you justify that on biblical grounds? Because I don't think you can. I dare you to prove me wrong. And you know what? I don't want to be one of these arrogant guys that can never admit they're wrong. When I have done someone wrong, I like to apologize. When I am wrong, have been proven wrong, and I accept it, I want to admit it. And I will follow up this video on those things that I've been proven wrong. Okay? That is, I give you my word. But prove to me one instance in the Bible, much less that being the norm, where it's okay to just give up and run away. Or are we supposed to dig in and fight? And okay, God, maybe one day it comes to kinetic action, but I hope not. What I'm getting at, my closing thoughts here, finally, at 45 minutes into this video. I'm angry too. There's lots of stuff I still want addressed, and there's lots of stuff that hasn't been addressed nearly severely enough. And you know what? We may not see it in this administration. But I guarantee you we will not see it in a Democratic administration. We might see more progress in a Vance administration. Or whoever. I see so many personalities that I am actually pretty stoked about. Ones I've already named today. Tulsi Gabbard. Stephen Miller. Many in this administration. And many other people around the country that are doing good work. So don't give it up. I want to see action against fraud. I want to see action against these sanctuary cities and states. I want to see people arrested and walked out in chains. I want to see these liberal judges removed from the bench. I want more action against this entrenched bureaucracy that is rampant everywhere. But you have to keep fighting. Don't quit the war. Sorry, I got my notes. I'm almost done, guys. I promise. Don't drop out of the war. Okay? Fight the good fight. Run the race. Keep the faith. And it starts in the primaries, guys. I know this is really hard to do. A lot of times, for some reason, incumbents win the majority of the time. But even those, I saw the other day, Elon Musk is already talking about he's going to start working to and not just in his America Party thing. Apparently, he's going to start working to field better candidates in Republican primaries. So whatever it is, it can't just all be on Elon Musk. The man's not a Christian. We can't put it all on him. I welcome his support where we can be allies in the culture, but he also has things that I disagree with. But I will gladly take his support and hope that he can help us field some better candidates. And there's got to be other people out there to help us as well, bankroll us and all that. And in the meantime, keep the pressure up on social media. I've seen multiple chimp out sessions this administration. And you know what's the incredible thing? This administration responded. They addressed, people are paying attention. It may not always be in the way that we want. It may not always be to the degree that we want. But time and time again, we've gotten a response. Gavin Newsom isn't going to respond to you, nor is whoever or whatever comes after him. So don't even let him have that power to begin with. Unless you want the whole country to be California. I can't imagine a more horrible outcome. And you know what? You know why I am not ready to just give up and accept that we're just all heading for bloodshed at this point? Because I've recently become a father. And our children have to live... Yes, think of the kids. That's where I'm going. But honestly, man, our kids have to live with this. Yes, we have to live with this, but so do our children. Do you really want to leave them at the mercy of this country just plunging into chaos, plunging into civil strife or civil war, riots or just horrific violence widespread across this nation? I sure don't. And why do you? Why are you so eager to get to that point? And if you're not, thank you for not. If you're seeing where I'm coming from, I appreciate that. You know what? At the end of the day, my next video, which is going to be a lot more positive, go to church. Christians, people who have even considered, who don't go to church, who have even considered going, go to freaking church. Repent of your despair. Repent of your hypocrisy. I'm going to be going there. I'm going out of town this Sunday, so unfortunately I can't go this Sunday. But the Sunday after that, I'm going to be back there on my knees, begging for forgiveness, waiting for my pastor to grant to, on behalf of Christ, that forgiveness. Lutheran. So, on that note, I've got a couple scriptures I want to read to you guys as I close this video out. And thank you so much before I do so. Thank you so much for watching. This has been my longest video yet, but it needed doing. It needed saying. And I'm probably not even making sense at this point. I'm so exhausted. But I've got 3 passages and then 1 recommendation. So we're going to start here in Proverbs chapter 3. And it says, do not withhold good from those, starting at verse 27. Do not withhold good from those to whom it is due, when it is in your power to do it. Do not say to your neighbor, go and come again. Tomorrow I will give it, when you have it with you. Do not plan evil against your neighbor, who dwells trustingly beside you. Me, I'm your neighbor. Don't freaking leave me at the mercy of Gavin Newsom. If you don't like me, if you think I'm a freaking jerk, then, I don't know, think of somebody you like. Do not contend with a man for no reason when he has done you no harm. Do not envy a man of violence, and do not choose any of his ways, for the devious person is an abomination to the Lord. What Clavicular is pushing right now is a devious plan. It is not a godly plan, but the upright are in his confidence. The Lord's curse is on the house of the wicked, but he blesses the dwelling of the righteous. Toward the scorners he is scornful, but to the humble he gives favor. The wise will inherit honor, but fools get disgrace. So that's just read to the end of the chapter. So next we're going to go to Hebrews chapter 12, verses 1 and 2, which says, therefore, since we are surrounded by so great a cloud of witnesses, many who have gone through far worse than you and I are going through right now, I promise you, I didn't survive Roman persecution. I didn't survive the Soviet Union. I didn't survive any of that. So, therefore, since we are surrounded by so great a cloud of witnesses, let us also lay aside every weight and sin which clings so closely, and let us run with endurance the race that is set before us, looking to Jesus, the founder and perfecter of our faith, who for the joy that was set before him endured the cross, despising the shame, and is seated at the right hand of the throne of God. I understand this is more directly addressing sin, but it's also encouraging Christians not to despair. Don't give in to despair. Be frustrated, be angry, but do not sin in your anger. And I'm speaking this right to a mirror. I need this too, because you know what? I suck too. And I'm sure people can make a highlight reel of places where I was wrong and need to rein myself in this very video. But hang in there, man. And finally, Philippians 4:8, which says simply, finally, brothers. And I'm going to end on this, so thank you very much for watching. I love you guys. You can disagree with me on every point I've made in this video, and you know what? I still love you, my brothers in Christ, not just of the Lutheran stripe, but of every stripe. I love you. Thank you so much. I hope you will stick with this movement. Don't give up. Let's continue working and recommend ways. I want to know. I'm no genius. Primaries is the only thing I've had so far, this video, and continuing the social media pressure. Let's be creative. What other ways are there? Actual solutions. Give me those comments, man. Let me know. But I'm going to close out on this. Finally, brothers, whatever is true, whatever is honorable, whatever is just, whatever is pure, whatever is lovely, whatever is commendable, if there is any excellence, if there is anything worthy of praise, think about these things. Thank you very much for viewing. If you are interested in more of what I discuss, and I promise I'm not always such a hothead. I am often, but not all the time. Please subscribe. I would appreciate your likes and your support. Let's talk about it, man. Give me some comments. I would love to hear your guys' thoughts. But I love you guys. We'll see you next time.